you can either read the specifications and find out how much space it is, or I think the best and easiest test is to get that camera, borrow it, rent it, whatever, shoot exact 1 minute shot, exact 5 minute shot, exact 10 minute shot, just general shot, and then see how big a file you create. Okay, so a 10 minute shot will obviously be 10 times a 1 minute shot, but if you average that, you'll get a sense of how much per minute it is, and then you multiply that and you understand that, okay, if I want to shoot this much, I have to think that I have to own so much hard disk space. Okay, that's a reality of filmmaking. If you're planning to shoot on a Canon say C500 RAW, and you want to shoot roughly 30 minutes a day and at full 4K, and then you want to shoot for say 30 days or 40 days, then you have to provide for that kind of 7-8 terabyte space. If you, and that is for one copy, then 2 copies will be twice as much space. If you don't have that much like budget, then you can consider working with the same camera at a lower resolution. So as resolution becomes less, the same camera will consume less gigabytes also. So this digital space is something that is now part of planning. Okay. HDV you can shoot for 75 hours, AVC HD also 75 hours, XDCam EX you can shoot for 64 hours. This is all 1 terabyte is equal to, okay. HD DSLR will shoot for about 45 hours, P2 18 hours, Red 1 only 7 hours, Red Epic only 2.5 hours, Alexa ProRes of course back to 7 hours, Alexa ProRes 4K, not Alexa ProRes 4K but ProRes 4K is 100 minutes, ARRI is 1 hour only, 1 terabyte 1 hour only, and of course uncompressed is only 90 minutes and uncompressed 4K is only 20 minutes. So 1 terabyte hard disk, this much mileage you get out of it. So now a little bit about the workflow that we employ for these different cameras. So in the case of HDV cameras, it's pretty simple. Everyone knows, you take the tape, put it in a recorder, connect via FireWire to the computer, and you capture with that. You edit in the FCP or Avid system, and after you finish editing, then you can either make out a DVD or a Blu-ray. You can output back to tape, or you can export a file like a ProRes file or any kind of Vimeo, YouTube, any file, and you're ready to export it. So you start digital on a tape and you end digital on either on tape or on files or on different kind of discs. This is reasonably simple, and I think most of you have done this kind of work. In the case of HD DSLR, it's almost the same except that there is no tape. There is a memory card, a card reader which takes the place of a tape deck. So in fact, many even like laptops like this have a card reader nowadays. So you really don't need a separate card reader. Otherwise, card readers are available as separate card readers. So you take the files, either you copy them into the system directly and work with them. Some softwares allow you to work with the files directly, but typically the files that come out of a HD DSLR camera are not designed to be edited. They have to be converted to a format which is designed to be edited. So you convert it either to Apple ProRes, or you convert it to, in the case of Avid, to DNX HD, or you convert it to something which can play freely. Okay, so that conversion is part of the exercise of editing and post-production for a DSLR. All these cameras produce files which cannot be edited, okay, which have to be converted to something else for editing. Also, they produce large files. So if you've got say, hundreds of thousands of gigabytes, like 20,000 gigabyte, 20 terabyte kind of sizes, then it will be spread over many hard disks. That's unwieldy to work with. So we typically convert this into a lower format, like Apple ProRes 422 Proxy or 422 LT or something like that. So they become smaller files. So the entire 20 terabyte of rushes becomes 2 terabytes for editing. That's only a copy. You're not going to work with that file finally. You're going to work with that copy. And then after you finish working with that copy, you export either a XML or a EDL into a grading system, okay, and that grading system works with the original files which are available to you on a hard disk. It does all the color grading, do all the effects work on that, and make one final master, which is a file to a hard disk, which could be a file for telecast, it could be a file for upload, or it could be a tape for telecast, or it could be a DVD or Blu-ray. Okay, so we go around this as a format, as a process workflow. The exact workflow, actually how to do it, etc., is something that you come to by practicing around. But broadly, this is what goes into post production. It's not complicated compared to film. It's definitely simpler in my opinion, because film involved film processing, telecine, then capture the tape, key codes, negative cutting, involved a whole process which was reasonably complicated. Digital is much simpler, but for some reason it is creating more confusion and more problems than it should, in my opinion. I come across a lot of people who have trouble with this format. Somewhere along the line they lose data, they lose the time codes, they lose the file names, they lose the reel names. All kinds of things are happening to the extent that this whole thing has become so complicated that I actually make a lot of money only solving problems. So, but it need not be that way. It has to be really very simple. Okay, and a lot of producers come across a deep bottleneck. Like right here after the editing to the grading, files don't get translated very easily. They don't connect easily. They don't reconnect. And I'm absolutely sure all of you will face this somewhere, sometime or the other. Okay, but you heard it here first. Every file has a name. Every file has a source name, which is like the folder which is stored. Every file has an inherent time code in it, and if you use that exact file for working and outputting, then there's no problem. But typically we can't use that file. You can't work with the R3D file. You have to work with the copy of the R3D file. So the copy of the file which is made for editing, the copy making process somewhere, somehow, because of wrong application of settings, whatever, loses either the file name or the source name or the time code, okay, or a combination of all these, right. So the editor gets a picture to edit and the editor edits a picture. He finishes editing the picture. Now he has to make up something which connects back to the original files. Okay, that something is either a EDL or a AF or a XML, right? Or he has to sit and write everything by hand, either one of these four things. After you make that thing, whatever it is, EDL or XML or AF, that somehow does not refer back to the original files, okay? Because in the original conversion, someone somewhere has lost data, and I come across this almost 4 times a week. Because someone somewhere has made a mistake in the original conversion, and it's really, really simple mathematics. If you lost that data, you got to bring it back in somehow. So I have used some of my some background in software development and mathematics to devise formulae to reconstruct the data. Okay, looking at the original file names, looking at the edited file names, and devising a script to piece together data. It doesn't take time because it's a computer, it works very fast. And that's how I finished sorting out 2 movies so far, like just in the last 2-3 weeks. One is a film called Ek Thi Dayan, one is a film that is currently happening right now called Fukre.